Hello my fellow students of magic, I am the Silver Witch, and in this video, it's actually going to be a little bit important. I mean, they all are, but this one is going to be a little bit more important because this involves safety, and it's also going to relate into the next video I'm going to talk about, which is about gods, spirits, deities, and other sorts of beings. Now, for this video, I'm going to be talking about ways to protect yourself and make sure that you are safe in both dealing with spirits and also basically just making sure you're secure in general. So, there are different ways that you could do this, obviously. There are different protective spells that you can use, there are different items you could use for the sake of protection, and there are, of course, protective symbols and runes that you could use for the sake of making sure you are secure and safe, both from spirits or other sorts of beings, as well as being safe in general. Now, to basically start off, let's begin with spells. So, when it comes to protective spells, obviously there are plenty of spells you can find online and such that might require certain steps in order to do. There's also being able to use your energy for protective means, and spells can also sometimes require items. For example, some important spells and rituals that could be used for protection might involve salt, which is commonly a used item for protection against malevolent spirits and such, because there might be some dangers that could be used. Religious items or any other things of magical importance that have meaning to you can also be important. For example, some might use the cross. I particularly wouldn't use it because, well, let's just say the cross and I don't really get along too well. But basically, anything you find of any magical protection or security, those are ways that could keep yourself safe. Obviously, just because something that. Now, I do want to iterate something important. I shouldn't have said obviously, but something that. Some things that you feel safe don't necessarily always help in the aspects of protection because for things like. Say it's a stuffed animal that was important to you in some way or another, that's not necessarily the kind of protection we mean, because those are things for emotional security and such, and they can help a little bit, but not by much, if I'm being perfectly honest. So, for things such as of religious importance or of religious power, things like that, salt is very good for protection as well. So, drawing a circle of salt around you is something that can help. Being able to recite important sutras or prayers might also be a way that can help you, or to improve the security when dealing with spirits. So, keeping in mind some sutras or prayers that might be a good idea to do before contacting or dealing with spirits, especially giving out a prayer to deities that will offer you protection and such, or deities that you completely trust, perhaps maybe spirits of your ancestors as well, or other people you find importance with. Other things that might help are also holy water. Oops. Holy water is actually something that, sure, people commonly associate with blessings from a priest or such, but obviously, since you're a witch, chances are you might not be able to get one from a priest if they know you are a witch. And, holy water doesn't necessarily always have to be from a Christian priest. Holy water can also be something from other kinds of priests, and holy water is actually something you yourself can make. It just involves being able to use your own magic and using it for protective purposes and attuning it with protective uses. So, taking any form of water can, and adding your own sort of blessing and using your own magic for the sake of protection, that can also make it for holy water purposes. And that is basically something that could go along with the idea of protection. So, these are different ways that you could use for the sake of protection. Just a few little quick tips to be able to allow for protection. Obviously, there are other ways that can be done for the sake of being protected and being secure. There are definitely ways online that you could find it, but of course, you don't want to be scammed into it. So, like if they're asking you for money for protective things and such, or how to learn to be protective, yeah, just kind of don't do that, I would suggest. There are also, of course, crystals that you could use for the sake of protection. Just make sure you do research on crystals and see which ones are good for healing or for protection. I might do a video on crystals at some point, but as of right now, I would need to do research on crystals on my own as well before I do something like that. Besides, I'm kind of a little bit focused on other topics, so crystals are gonna have to wait a little bit. Anyway, so those are ways that you can protect yourself. I actually have some runes. Some of them I can use as an example to explain sort of some protective means. If I can get the right ones out, let me see if I have some good ones. Definitely not the Odin one, obviously, because there's plenty of mysteriousness going on with that. No. Oh, here's one. This one is the Othala rune. Let me just bring it to the camera so you can see it. The Othala rune, basically, I know it has some negative connotations because of, well, let's just say some fascist people have decided to use it for their own purposes, and not necessarily in a friendly way. Um, the Nazis and current far-right extremists have used the Othara rune to basically use it for white supremacy. And I would like to actually explain the real meaning of the Othara rune is basically to hold things and people that matter to you. It is meant for them, and it is meant to represent home, and in a way, if you use it at the basic principle, you could see why they made the connection, but at the same time, they are only using the basic meaning and also perverting it to their own meaning. It is not meant to mean your specific group of people are meant to be more superior than others. The Othara rune actually is supposed to mean that the people you surround yourselves with are your home. They are the people that you care about the most, and they are the people that can keep you safe. So, when you think of the Othala rune, it is a way that could help you draw on the protective power of the people that you are close to, especially the spirits that you are close to. So, if you have any deceased relatives or ancestors that you know will be more than happy to protect you, the Othala rune will be able to offer protection to them. But this is a personal example. Not everyone is necessarily going to be attuned to the Elder Futhark, but if you have any symbols such as that, they will most certainly be very helpful. Let me see if I can find another rune that can be of any help or in being able to offer protection of sorts. The Tiwaz rune is the rune of Tyr. I have used it before, and it is basically meant to offer protection in the name of the law. So, if you are basically asking the spirits you are dealing with to follow the laws of their realm, or to follow the laws of your realm, and to ensure that no harm comes to you in some way or another, this would be a good way to be able to handle it. So, if the spirits you're dealing with what is the word I'm looking for? Are more keen on making sure they do not do anything that harms you in the ways of the law or such, or that or anything of that sort, then the Tiwaz rune is something that could help you. Let me see if I can find another one. I don't think I have it in the handful that I have. But yeah, I just kind of want to offer another symbol that I have, the Uruz rune. So the Uruz rune is actually, I believe it is the rune of Thor, and the Uruz rune is basically meant to be a rune of strength. So it is to offer you strength in times of need. It is meant to offer you a way to be able to have protection and offer strength, especially from the protector of humanity, Thor himself. Another one is the Ansu's rune, meant specifically to shield you, meant to be the protective rune against all things that would cause harm to you. That is basically what the Ansu's rune is about. So, yeah, these are just kind of different symbols, but yeah. And one more, because I actually really wanted to show this one. This is the Thurisaz rune. The Thurisaz rune is basically meant to be sort of a thorny shield, so if any harm is meant to be directed at you, it could be directed right back at the enemy in case you need a bit of oomph for your protection. So if a spirit is trying to cause you harm, then you know there is a symbol to return that harm right back to them. But again, the Elder Futhark runes are not necessarily for everyone, so if they are something that can be attuned to you or something that relates to you, then by all means, most certainly use them. You do not necessarily have to be Norse or of Norse ancestry to use them, just as the same with Celtic runes. It's just the more if they are the more attuned to you, if you are more potent with them, then do in fact use them. The reason I was actually showing my runes is because they are perfect examples of symbols that can be used for the sake of protection, and just a way to get started. I myself use the Elder Futhark runes, and sometimes I draw them around the house with my finger. No, I don't physically draw them. I just simply sort of draw them around, basically, sort of like so I just drew the Uruz rune, so that is basically how I applied them. So yeah, don't actually use. If you're not allowed to do that, don't actually physically draw them. But like do what I just did, and you'll be able to apply a sort of spiritual essence of a symbol. Any symbol that is important for protection. Again, the cross for many people could be used for that, and I do not mean to judge. It's just I do not have a very good history with Christianity, so that's kind of why I have a little bit of a where it explains my sort of thing with it, and things like that are basically ways that you could get protection. Symbols that are important to you, items that are important to you to a limit, as long as you have the protective energy and you have the protective essence of them, and also items such as salt or holy water or anything that could be linked to any sort of spiritual protection. And of course, doing research on spiritual protection is also important, but if the research is asking you to pay for being able to know how to be protected, don't do it, actually, because that's clearly a scam, and they're just trying to get your money, so don't actually do that, because this kind of information is actually supposed to be free. The information itself is supposed to be free. The items, sure, they can be bought, but it's also important if they are gifted to you because, as I have mentioned in the last video, it improves the potency. And also, if you make the protective item yourself, it adds more magical potency to them because half of the word of witchcraft is, well, craft. So it is important, it is especially important if the items are made by yourself, that the potency of those items will be even more important because you yourself made them for the particular purpose of protection or applying a particular skill to them. So these are ways that you can add more protection or add more magical potency to them. So, short video for this one, but this is basically all I have to say about magical protection, and it will relate into the next video when I start talking about gods, spirits, and other sorts of beings of other realms. So that is all for this video today, so I hope you all learned something from this video. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you want to hear and listen to more videos from me about witchcraft and magic and spirituality and religion and such, and that is all I will offer for today. So, blessed, Sumota be, and blessed be to you all.